Once so proudly revealed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our
Okay, 40G. Charles Dawes out of Mogador, sponsored by Mangled Farm and Midway Auto. What is that? Okay, looks like 8 and 11/25 Russ Heater out of Alliance, sponsored by Tar Heel Construction. The 88-19 Billy Loudon out of Mogador, sponsored by Boyers Construction. The number T91 Timmy Novak out of Suffield. The 176 Ryan Lipley out of Rootstown. The number 19X Mike Govan out of Randolph, sponsored by Eldrith Photography. Here comes the number 70 Vince Hamrick out of Rootstown, sponsored by Bud's Auto, Vickers Transmission, Pure Romance, Be Nice Racing Engines, and Bridget Party Lights. The number 401K Bill Zacher out of Deerfield. The number 17 Matt Nichols out of Randolph, sponsored by Old Man Nichols and Lang's Automotive. Number 523 is Sean Miller out of Atwater. Ralph Harper's in the 421 out of Ravenna, sponsored by Punisher Racing. Number 71 is driven by Tom Learn out of Southington. Number 103, Rob Mangus out of Kent. And finally, the number FC40, Scott Krieger out of Rootstown, sponsored by Don Siciliano and Be Nice Racing Engines. Now, Be Nice Racing Engines has kicked in an extra $50 for second place on both the big truck and the beer. Drivers are ready, the referees are ready, so let's go ahead and give them a countdown, starting with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let them go, and the action's underway here at the Smash It, Crash It, Tear 'em Up Automobile Demolition Derby. There's your 2011 Randolph Portage County Fair Truck Event. And oh my goodness, it looks like we had one of them kind of pop up on top of that concrete barricade already, and I believe that was Charles Dawes in the 40G. I think that's the one that is up on top of there. And my goodness gracious, Scott Krieger has the hammer down on that FC40. Has nothing but a lot of running room, and he was followed very closely by the 103 of Rob Mangus out of Kent. The 19X Mike Govan out of Randolph, sponsored by Eldridge Photography, working that west end of the track pretty well. Looks like he's going to come back and go for a nose shot on that number 17 of Matt Nichols out of Randolph. And here comes the 8 and 11/25 Russ Heater in that silver machine. It looks like it's got a drive shaft laying out on the track. I don't know who's not currently moving. Looks like maybe the 71. I see it looks like there's a drive shaft right about center track. And I do believe that does belong to Tom Learn out of Southington. That's definitely his drive shaft, so we will take Mr. Learn out of the action right now. And already, boy, he took it, must have had a hard hit as that drive shaft did pop out of that number 71. Looks like also the number T91 having a few technical difficulties. Timmy Novak out of Suffield. He's over on the main grandstand side right now. Here comes the 401K Bill Zacher out of Deerfield. And down at the other end, you got a little bit of a battle raging. The number 421 is throwing caution to the wind. My goodness gracious. He was on a roll. That was Ralph Harper using the nose of his machine as a battering ram, and he's followed up by that FC40 of Scott Krieger out of Rootstown, sponsored by Don Siciliano and Be Nice Racing Engine. They're going to kind of separate the track, and we've got some serious technical difficulties. We may need to keep a close eye on that 421. Hold them up, drivers. Hold them up. Hold them up. And they're ready to turn them loose and let them go. Looks like we had a couple other ones hop out of their vehicle. And already the FC40 coming down the track. That was Scott Krieger. And he was running into the 401K of Bill Thacker out of Deerfield. And the 103, Rob Mangus taking a shot in the nose from the FC40. He's getting kind of pushed off to the side right now, and I'll tell you, that FC40's got nothing but time and opportunity. And the 8 and 11 25th Russ Peter out of Alliance coming back in from the opposite direction. Do still have the 19X of Mike Govin out of Randolph, sponsored by Elvis Photography, jockeying his machine around. He's trying to wiggle his way out of that end zone where he's at. Looks like he is kind of side by side with the number 190. The 176 of Ryan Lipley out of Rootstown. And here comes Ryan Lipley, and he's going to go back to back with the number 103. And Rob Mangus out of Kent. Number 70 has making some running room. That's Vince Hamrick out of Rootstown. He does have quite a laundry list of sponsors, but he's sponsored by Bridget's Party Light, Be Nice Racing Engine, Ohio Home Improvement, Bud's Auto, and Vickers Transmission. Still have a couple of them kind of working on one another down at the far end. That's going to be the FC40 of Scott Krieger, along with the 88-19 of Billy Loudon out of Mogador, sponsored by Boyer's Construction. And my goodness gracious, the 88-19 was definitely working his way down the track and went right into the nose of that 19X of Mike Govin out of Randolph. Mike's got his machine back going, and he's headed on down into the middle of the track. Looks like he's nosing in to that 40G. That's from Gall out of Mogador. And in comes the 70 Vince Hamrick out of Rootstown. He's getting a lot of traction out there right now. The 8 and 11 25th Russ Peter momentarily tied up, and they're burning the coal on that 70 right now. Vince Hamrick making some noise as he's popping his way through that mass of mangled metal right in the middle of the track right now. The FC40 looks like he may be slowing up ever so slightly right now, but he's been putting on one heck of a show. Scott Krieger out of Rootstown. He's sponsored by Be Nice Racing Engine and Don Siciliano. The 8 and 11 25th Russ Peter. Oh, we almost had one up on at least three wheels there, at least momentarily. That was Bill Thacker out of Deerfield in the 401K. He was kind of using the FC40 as a launching ramp. And I do believe Charles Gall's in that 40G. Currently out of time. He's kind of sitting here enjoying the show right now. A few of these trucks definitely starting to come into pieces. Now we are paying 4 spots in the trucks tonight. 4 spots are being paid. $1,250 to win, $500 for second, $250 for third, and $100 for fourth place. And they're packing them into the middle of the track right now. The number 103, Rob Mang, is going to be the last one to come in and make contact. He took a hit on the front of the nose of that 401K of Bill Zacher out of Deerfield. The 176 is still running. Brian Lipley out of Rootstown, and here comes Russ Heater. Uh-oh. There she blows. Got the number 7-0 out there. That's Vince Hamrick out of Rootstown. That the guys are going right in the middle of the track. So it's definitely going to be getting a little bit warm in that number 70. Vince Hamrick looks like he's stalled out at least for the moment being. He's got her back going again. He's definitely got some pressure built up under the hood of that number 70. The 19X coming in right beside him. Mike Gobin out of Randolph, sponsored by Elvis Photography. Pushing his way down there. We got 3 up at one end. Looks like 4 at the other. Still running strong. So we're down to about 7 of them. Not quite sure what's going on with the 176. Brian Lipley trying to rock his machine back and forth. I don't know if he's having a whole lot of luck with it. Looks like something may have broke in the drivetrain on that 176. Still have the 401K. Bill Zacher going to be taking a hit from the 19X right now of Mike Gobin out of Randolph. And looks like Mike just kind of hung himself up on top of that tire, but I think he's down. Got his drive tires back on the track, and he's going to be pulling away right behind the number 70. The number 8, 11, 25th, like he's trying to get his machine steered around. Mike Gobin using the nose of his machine to go on the attack on the side of the 70 of Vince Hamrick. And it looks like the 176 of Brian Lipley out of Rootstown is out. Looks like the 401K, Bill Zacher. He was stalled out, but he's got her going once again just in time to take a shot in the nose from Russ Heater in that 8 and 11 25th. So I think we are down to about 6 of them left running right now. 6 of them left running. Again, we are paying 4 spots. And it looks like just about each and every one of these trucks definitely running on the warm side right now. But the number 70, Vince Hamrick, is sounding strong right now. The 8 and 11 25th, Russ Heater is going to take a hit from Bill Zacher in that 401K. Looks like the time definitely taking its toll on most of these trucks. 401K, Bill Zacher out of Deerfield, trying to refire his machine. Present time. And he's got her going. He's nosing into the number 103 of Rob Mangas out of Kent, who's back-to-back with the number 70 of Vince Hamrick out of Rootstown. Down toward the eastern end, the number 19X. Hold him up. We do have a fire down here. We do have a fire. Hold him up. Gentlemen, hold him up. We got a fire. Ready to turn him loose and let him go. The action back underway. We do have movement out of 5 pickup trucks. 5 of them still left. Again, we are going to be paying 4 spots. 4th place in the trucks will pay $100. 3rd pays $250. 2nd place will receive $500. And finally, the winner is going to receive $1,250. Now again, That payout does not include the second place $50 that was kicked in by Be Nice Racing Engines. So again, Be Nice Racing Engines did kick in an extra $50 for both the large truck and the large car event tonight. And it looks like the FC40, Scott Krieger, still making some good contact. Looks like the one thing definitely slowing him down just a little bit is the fact that he does have a flat tire on that right rear. You can see that rim spinning inside that tire on that FC40 pickup truck. So that's definitely slowing him up quite a bit. We got a little bit of exhaust stack fumes. Right now, nothing to be too excited about. It is coming out of the exhaust pipe. So he's got some little excess unburnt fuel on rust heaters. He's got it a little bit rich in there. Hopefully once that thing fires up, those flames will die right down. But he's got one impressive flame show going right now. Tell it's burning just a little bit on the rich side. Hopefully that thing will work its way out before he gets his 1 minute time limit. The referee's keeping a pretty close eye on Russ Heaters, 8 and 11/25. Russ kind of dodging the way right there, but again, those flames are just coming out of the exhaust, and doggone it, looks like time did run out for Russ Heater in that 8 and 11/25, but he did run quite a good derby here. So we are down to 4 vehicles left, it looks like. 4 of them that are on the track, all guaranteed prize money. We do have the 401k, Bill Zacher out of Deerfield. He's nose to nose with the 103 of Rob Mangas out of Kent. And of course that FC40, Scott Krieger out of Rootstown, sponsored by Don Siciliano and Be Nice Racing Engines. And of course, Vince Hamrick is in that number 70. 70 does have quite a list of sponsors that he's got: Bridget's Party Light, Buzz Auto, Vickers Transmission. And of course, Be Nice Racing Engines is one of the sponsors of that number 70. Does look like we did have 2 of them counted out right now, so we are down to 2. We've got 3rd and 4th place wrapped up right now. We've got 1st and 2nd yet to be decided, and it looks like the number 70 with the advantage, but he just popped Scott Krieger in the FC40 loose. We got Scott Krieger in that FC40 out of Rootstown, and the number 70 of Vince Hamrick battling it out for the 1st and 2nd place. The FC40, again, Scott Krieger. Again, Scott started out very well, but it looks like he's getting slowed up just a wee bit by the fact that he does have a flat tire on that right rear. Uh-oh, looks like Vince Hamrick is currently stalled out. He's got her back going again. Vince Hamrick in the 70 out of Rootstown. Back on the move, and in behind him, the FC40 of Scott Krieger. Still running strong. These drivers getting jockeyed around to decide first and second place finish. And it looks like he's got the 70 kind of straightened out. And I'm sure that that number 70 is very warm. He just blew all the coolant out of that machine quite a bit ago. He had a real geyser going, and that coolant went sky high, and I think we may have just lost some reverse. Don't see a whole lot happening. Driver's trying the best he can, but I don't see anything happen when he kicks her up in the reverse on that number 70. You better hold on to your helmet there, 7-0, because Scott Krieger's coming back at you. There, he's got her in reverse, and he's hooked up. Momentarily, at least, anyway. And it looks like both these drivers have about the same problem with the flat tires on the right rear anyway. You can see the rim spinning inside. The tire on the back of the number 70. For FC40, Scott Krieger coming back to make contact. Momentarily hung up, and he's putting the hammer down, and he's going to punch his way out. That's Vince Hamrick. Both these drivers are from Rootstown, and both of them are sponsored by Be Nice Racing Engines. Again, Be Nice Racing Engines also kicking in an extra $50 for the second place finisher of the big truck and the big car event. And that 7.0 definitely has a good engine up under the hood, because he keeps refiring every time it stalls out. But he does have quite a bit of smoke. And I still say we got something going on with the transmission on the 70. He's trying to get her popped into reverse there, but he just doesn't seem to find it. So I don't know if it's in the linkage or actually in the transmission. Vince Hamrick doing the best he can, trying to get that thing into reverse, just not having a whole lot of luck. But the FC40, Scott Krieger, cutting him off the pass. And I think we have some problems on the FC40 as well. Looks like Scott Krieger's moving that steering wheel around quite a bit, but I don't believe any of the inputs that he's making on the steering wheel, those are definitely not leading too much onto those steer tires. He's putting in quite a bit of, I think he may have a tie rod broken from the looks of things. That's definitely going to be quite a disadvantage as he's trying to get the FC40 moved up and down the track. And I'll tell you, folks, these pickup trucks did start out very strong tonight. Put a lot of hard hits on each other. It's very early goings of this truck heat. Now we're down to the remaining two. Vince Hamrick in that number 70. Scott Krieger in the FC40. And it looks like Scott is jockeyed around. Oh, we got a lot of... Well, we're definitely going to have to stop it now. We've got some flames up under the hood of the number 70 which means he's going to have to settle for a second place finish, but not too shabby out of Vince Hamrick, which means your winner. We do need the fire department down here, so please keep the track cleared. But down there at the number 70, you can see the glow up and under the hood. And there he is, emerging from his vehicle, Scott Krieger out of Rootstown in the FC40. Your winner of this truck event. He is sponsored by Don Siciliano and Be Nice Racing Engines. Number 19, David McLean out of Ravenna, sponsored by McLean Home Improvements, is on the track. Following him is the number 15, Michael McLaughlin out of Suffield, sponsored by Al Spitzer's Ford and the Falls. Here comes Ronald Kennedy in the quarter pounder out of Akron, sponsored by Lakes Auto Recycle. The number 44, Jeffrey Lee out of Ravenna. Here's the 901, Megan Merrick out of Macedonia, sponsored by DNR. Looks like we do have a lady driver in that 901. And number 38 is Adam Somerville out of Suffield, sponsored by Suffield Carryout and Taylor Construction. Logan Blake's in the number 62 out of Suffield. Wanted to say thanks to his mom and dad and Danielle in the number 62. Number 76, Justin Mason out of BNB Towing. He's out of Cuyahoga. The number 22, Corey Mason's in the double deuce out of Cuyahoga, sponsored by BNB Construction. Number 715, Chris Villers out of Ravenna, sponsored by Collision Craft.
Yeah. He's the one that proposed last year.
And I do believe Chris Villers in the 715, last time I saw his vehicle on the track, he was proposing. 00, John Myers is out of Akron, sponsored by Action Tire 1 and Hybrid Heating and Cooling. Donald Raiders in the 77 out of Akron. Following him is going to be the number 13.
Give me another tape out of the bag. I just wanted to see.
That's Drew Metzger out of Louisville in that 13. Here comes the 71X. I believe that's CJ Morgan out of Randolph, sponsored by Rods Painting and Runbucker Farms. Number 63. That's a 63 XXX, Daniel Kumos out of Brimfield, sponsored by Allen Alloys and All Concrete. And Bruce Miller in the 410 out of Ravenna. Looks like he's making a grand entrance. Those wild lights on top, sponsored by the Well Doctor. Following him is going to be the number 15 of Zach Kochner out of Ravenna, sponsored by Keller Williams. Here comes number 61, Douglas Morey II out of Atwater, sponsored by Keller Williams. Number 735, Josh Reed out of Kent, also sponsored by Keller Williams and Kathy Reed. Okay, we got the number 01, Sean Petrie out of Manaway, sponsored by Sean Petrie Horseshoeing.
It's right there next to 01.
And Scott Berkey out of Atwater's in that number 12, sponsored by Keller Williams and Kathy Reed, the number 916. That's Hillbilly Mike Smith out of Ravenna, sponsored by Collision Craft. I do see the number 7, Danny Brucker out of Deerfield, sponsored by Berkey Auto Recycling.
Bill, what's the next to the last one left down there?
Number 6 right here.
587, Sean Berkey out of Deerfield, sponsored by Berkey Auto Recycling, is on the track. Here comes the number 68, Ben Simmons out of Kent, sponsored by Kirky Auto Wrecking. Looks like the 2410, Barry Knapp out of Sebring. Number 317, Ryan Craig out of Worcester is coming on the track, sponsored by JD Byrider and Collision Craft Auto Body. The number 3M, Matt Heimbaugh out of Hartville, sponsored by H&H Quick Machine, D&M Drywall, Pro One Automotive, and Collision. Number 43, Andy Larkins out of Waynesburg, sponsored by TRW and Miracle Automotive. And I believe that's Jay Schill in the last 83 on the track.
89's the red.
What's that?
Kevin Kirky's in the red, K9 out of Ravenna, sponsored by Kirky Auto Wrecking and Sparrow Pizza. And it looks like the number 6 also snuck in, Robert Conley out of Talmadge, sponsored by 3C's Towing. And it looks like we have a full track of mini cars, I do believe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let them go! And the mini cars are underway. The buzz bombs are off and running, folks. My goodness, the track is separating right away. We've got C.J. Morgan in that number 71. Jason Williams in that 83 out of Atwater, doing a good job getting jockeyed around. The number 13 is making his way nose to nose with the Well Doctor sponsored machine. We still got a reverse light on one of them out here, folks. And my goodness gracious, the Buzz Bombs are definitely living up to their name. And they are mangling some metal out there. The quarter pounder of Ronald Kennedy off and running. Looks like the number 19 of David McLean having a few technical difficulties, sponsored by McLean Home Improvements. Like he's down at the end having a little bit of technical difficulty. The 587 also doing the same. That's Sean Berkey out of Deerfield, sponsored by Berkey Auto Recycling. The number 76 of Justin Mason, sponsored by D&D Towing, running across. And the 59, T11, James Keaton out of Atwater. And it looks like David McLean in that 19 has taken himself out of contention. We got the 2410, Barry Knapp out of Sebring. Blowing serious coolant up in the air. And the number 6, trucking his way on down the track. Robert Conley out of Talbot, sponsored by 3C Towing. Andy Larkins in that number 43 out of Waynesburg, running well. And look at the number 68 go into the 77. That was Ronald Rader in the 77. The 68 looks like he was, I'll tell you, he kind of crinkled that machine up in a pretty good hurry. We have Ben Simmons in that 68. It looks like the number 6 also kind of running a little bit slow as well. We do have another vehicle. That's the 83 of Jay Schill. And he's going back to back with the number 62, Logan Blake. Logan here out of Suffield. Sponsored by his mom, dad, and Danielle. The number 735 pulling his way out of the corner. Josh Reed out of Kent. Sponsored by Keller Williams and Kathy Reed. Jeffrey Lee was in the 44 out of Ravenna. Bouncing his way around. And James Heath in that 59 T11. 63 Triple X. Daniel Kumos out of Brimfield. Kind of about taking a hit in the nose from the number 317. He was also followed up by that 71 who was busting his way up and down the track. I'll say we have one heck of a long list of drivers. That's the 2410 Barry Knapp working with the 01 of Sean Petrie out of Manaway. Look at a 735 buzzing his way down through there. That's Josh Reed into the nose of the 59 T11. I do believe the number 22 of Corey Mason has got his machine up on the governor on that machine. The quarter pounder trying to refire, but he's going to get the Malachi crunch in between the 22 and the 715 of Chris Miller. The quarter pounder, Ronald Kennedy, looks like he's waving off. I think Ronald Kennedy may be done for the night. Number 38 right now looks like Adam Somerville out of Suffield trying to refire his machine. He's sponsored by Suffield Carryout and Taylor Construction. And that is a wild looking set of lights out there that's sponsored by the Bell Doctor. That's the 410 of Bruce Miller out of Ravenna. It doesn't look like Bruce is running so well, but he's still got those lights tugging around. And I'll tell you, we've got the number 44 blowing off quite a bit of steam off of it. That's Jeffrey Lee out of Ravenna sitting at the base of that plume of steam right now. Trying to work his way. Hey, he's got it refired, and Jeffrey Lee is slowly back on the move right now. 735. Looks like they're pushing in too. Oh my goodness, a 2410. Like he's still mixing it up with that 01. Sean Petrie's in the 01, and Barry Knapp is in that 2410. Chris Villers, 715, back to back with the number 22 right now. And doggone it, looks like Logan Blake in the 62 out of Suffield has removed his flag from his doorpost. Again, he wanted to thank Mom, Dad, and Danielle for his sponsorship. Got a few of them kind of dying out right now. Again, Ronald Kennedy in that quarter pounder. And they're dropping pretty quick. Danny Brucker in the number 7 out of Deerfield. Hold them up, drivers, hold them up, Go, getting things back underway here in the mini car class. Now we are paying 4 spots again in the minis. Going to be $12.50 to win, $500 for second, $250 for third, and $100 for fourth place tonight. Here comes the number 01, Sean Petrie, into the nose of that number 68 of Ben Simmons out of Kent. And I'll tell you, the 01, Sean Petrie out of Manway, has nothing but running room out there, and he's running the track right in front of the main grandstand. The 587 is over here on the infield side of the track at the present moment. That's Sean Berkey out of Deerfield, sponsored by Berkey Auto Recycling. Number 68 is still mixing it up with the 01. That's Ben Simmons and Sean Petrie finding themselves once again together. Jason Webb out of Atwater, sponsored by Dragon Towing and Atwater Nurseries down there. Far into the track, I believe Jay Schill in the other 83. Looks like he has taken himself out of his vehicle during the last intermission. You have a few of them falling off ever so slowly but surely. Hillbilly Mike Smith is in the number 916 out of Ravenna. He's over mixing it up with Chris Villers in the 715. Both of them are sponsored by Collision Craft. And the number 43 coming back into the action. That's Andy Larkins out of Waynesburg, sponsored by Miracle Automotive and TRW. Things definitely warm under the hood of that 2410 of Barry Knapp out of Sebring. And it looks like time did expire for Sean Berkey in the 587. He was over on the infield side of the track, and it looks like he was not able to move.